A police officer thought it was just another rainy patrol, until he stumbled upon a German shepherd lying helpless on the forest road. The dog trembled in pain, its eyes filled with desperation. But what the officer discovered next would shock everyone and change both of their lives forever. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The rain fell in heavy sheets, blurring the outlines of the forest into a wall of shadows. Thunder rumbled above, shaking the quiet stretch of road that wound through the trees. Officer Daniel adjusted his cap, water dripping from the brim as he scanned the darkened path ahead. Nights like this were usually uneventful, long patrols with nothing but the sound of rain for company. But tonight was different. His headlights had caught something unusual lying motionless on the wet asphalt. At first, he thought it was just a branch, another casualty of the storm. Yet as he drew closer, a shape began to emerge. Too still, too heavy, too alive. Daniel slowed his steps, boots splashing through puddles. His pulse quickened, a knot forming in his stomach. The figure trembled faintly, almost invisible under the relentless downpour. Then his breath caught. What he was staring at wasn't debris at all. It was a dog. Daniel's eyes widened as the headlights illuminated the creature before him. A German shepherd, sprawled helplessly on the road. Its fur clung to its body, drenched and matted with mud. Each shallow breath made its sides quiver, the tremors barely visible beneath the rainfall. The dog's head lifted weakly, ears twitching, eyes clouded with exhaustion, yet still holding a spark of life. Instinct pulled Daniel forward. He crouched low, rain soaking through his uniform, studying the animal's condition. The shepherd made no attempt to snap or snarl. Instead, it tried to push itself up, only to collapse again with a pitiful whimper. Daniel's heart clenched. This wasn't just an abandoned stray. It was a fighter running out of strength. The officer stretched a cautious hand forward, his voice low and steady. "Easy, boy. I'm not here to hurt you." The shepherd's gaze locked on his, a silent plea shining through the pain. For the first time that night, Daniel felt the storm wasn't the real danger. The danger was what had brought the dog here. Daniel remained crouched in the rain, torn between caution and compassion. His training reminded him that injured animals could lash out, their pain twisting into aggression. A single bite could be dangerous, but something in the shepherd's trembling frame held him there. It wasn't fear the dog radiated. It was desperation. The radio at his shoulder crackled faintly, but he ignored it, eyes fixed on the creature before him. Should he call animal control? Wait for backup? Logic urged restraint, but his instincts whispered otherwise. This wasn't just another wounded animal left behind by fate. Something about its persistence, the way it forced itself to lift its head and look at him, spoke volumes. Daniel's throat tightened. He had seen fear before, but this was different. This was a cry for help, silent yet piercing through the storm. With a slow breath, he made his choice. He wouldn't walk away. He would stay, and he would find out what this dog was trying to tell him. Daniel inched closer, his knees pressing into the slick asphalt as the rain drummed harder against his shoulders. The shepherd didn't move to resist. Instead, it lowered its head as if surrendering. Gently, Daniel's hands brushed over its fur, his fingertips pausing when they met something warm and sticky. His chest tightened. Blood. Pushing the fur aside, he found a jagged wound near the dog's flank. It was deep, cruel, as though caused by metal teeth. A trap? His mind raced. The dog had likely been struggling alone for days, the pain unbearable, yet it had dragged itself here. But then Daniel noticed something else. The shepherd's head lifted suddenly, ears twitching, gaze shifting toward the tree line. Despite its weakened state, its body tensed as though guarding something hidden beyond the road. Daniel frowned. The wound was only part of the story. This dog wasn't just trying to survive, it was trying to protect, and whatever it was protecting lay just inside that dark, rain-soaked forest. The shepherd let out a faint whine and pushed its body forward, claws scraping weakly against the wet ground. Daniel's eyes followed its gaze toward the dense tree line. "You want me to follow?" he whispered, hardly believing the thought. But the dog, despite its pain, dragged itself a few feet before collapsing again, its nose still pointed toward the forest. Daniel rose quickly, flashlight in hand, and stepped into the undergrowth. Branches snapped beneath his boots, rain dripping from every leaf. Just a few yards in, his beam caught something half hidden beneath broken branches. A small, weather-stained backpack. His pulse spiked. The fabric was torn, stained dark, as though it had been there for days. Kneeling, he unzipped it carefully. Inside, he found scraps of clothing, a child's shoe, and papers crumpled and smeared with dirt. The shepherd whimpered behind him, eyes locked on the pack as though begging him to understand. Daniel's stomach churned. This wasn't just an injured dog. It was a messenger of something far more terrifying. Daniel's heart hammered as he zipped the backpack shut, the weight of its contents heavier than it should have been. He radioed for backup, his voice urgent, over the static. "This isn't routine. I need medics and additional units at my location. Now." Behind him, the shepherd staggered, collapsing into the mud with a weak yelp. But even in its failing strength, the dog's paws scraped forward, dragging itself toward the backpack as if refusing to leave it unguarded. Daniel rushed back, kneeling beside the trembling animal. "Stay with me, buddy," he muttered, pressing a hand gently against its fur. Rainwater streamed down his face, mixing with the unease twisting in his gut. Red and blue lights soon pierced the forest edge, sirens wailing in the storm. Paramedics rushed in, but their eyes widened as they saw not just the officer and dog, but the ominous pack between them. Daniel's breath quickened. Whatever truth lay inside that bag, it was about to change everything. One of the paramedics knelt by the backpack, curiosity battling with dread. With gloved hands, he carefully spread its contents across a tarp. The storm raged on, but all Daniel could hear was the pounding of his own pulse. Among the clothing and torn papers lay something chilling, a wallet with an ID, half-soaked photographs of a family, and a folded police report marked "Missing." Daniel froze. These weren't random belongings. They were the remnants of a child who had vanished months ago. The shepherd whimpered loudly, its body trembling as if demanding they understand. "Good God," one of the officers whispered. "This dog's been guarding evidence the whole time." Daniel's throat tightened as the realization hit. The wound, the exhaustion. This animal had dragged itself through agony not to survive, but to protect, to lead someone here. He looked into the shepherd's weary eyes. They weren't just pleading anymore. They were victorious, as though saying, "You finally found the truth." The shepherd was lifted gently onto a stretcher, its body limp, but its eyes still watching Daniel. He walked beside it as paramedics hurried toward the ambulance, the backpack, secured as crucial evidence. Rain continued to fall, but to Daniel it felt different now. Cleansing, almost reverent. News of the discovery spread quickly. What had begun as a lonely patrol turned into a revelation that shocked everyone. The injured German shepherd was no victim. It was a hero. As the ambulance doors closed, Daniel whispered, "You didn't just survive. You saved lives tonight." The dog's tail twitched faintly, the smallest gesture of triumph. And with that, the forest silence returned, forever changed by a trembling dog's courage.